everybody here is uh, here for some reason, and the reason is we are all here to get some inspiration because what I've seen throughout my journey is inspiration works the best when you're here to achieve some goal. Because at times we are a little kind of, you can say, we need a direction. Probably somebody's words click and we get that direction, and probably the path becomes a little more easier. So we have here today Chinmay to give us that inspiration, because he's been an inspiration for a lot of people. So for all the people who are now into CMA or they are starting their journey for CMA, so we'll try connect with Chinmay's journey a little, and we'll see what is it that we can take out from here, and that will help us grow as well. So just a quick introduction of mine. I've been a trainer for quite some time. 8 years is my actual training time. Before that, I was an assistant as well. So it's been almost 11 years, you can say by now. I was an assistant for around 2-3 years. Then I shifted as a full-time trainer. And I started off my journey with ACCA and then CIMA. And then finally here in Dubai, I started off with CMA as well. That's kind of for me. We'll now shift on to Chinmay. He's got a lot to say. So Chinmay, your introduction, please, if you can let us know about yourself a little.
Sure, I can. Firstly, thanks, Sana and Kaplan, for having me say a few words. I hope the time that everybody's investing in this talk is beneficial to them in terms of my experiences. But just to give you a little background on myself, and I know you've put that up there. I'll try to be brief on this. I've been in the region for a while. I've of course got over 20 years of experience in finance, but leading large scale institutions, but also with startups. Done a lot of work there as well, both personally from my own entrepreneurial venture, but also working with a number of startups in the region. My background has not been your traditional finance background. I actually started my career many years ago in engineering and working in the Department of Defense, and then I've slowly moved gradually into finance. So had a very different outlook to most CFOs, I would say, in the region, and we can talk about that later, of course. But more recently, and in this region, I headed up the finance teams at Arab Tech Holding, which is when they were going from private to public. So I helped them make the leap through the capital markets and of course grow and scale in size. After that, I started my own entrepreneurial venture, which was in a tech entrepreneurial venture. And after that, I was with ADQ for quite some time, leading a $2.5 billion tech fund that is predominantly invested in building technology execution for the Abu Dhabi government. That's part of their Abu Dhabi vision for 2030, where sort of want to proliferate artificial intelligence and digital transformation. And my fund was effectively the key driver of investments to bring outside startups into the ecosystem, but also to generate local ecosystem in terms of developing AI technology. Grew that business, and more recently, as early as 2 weeks ago, I've moved to a company in KSA, which is also a very well-funded startup, not ADQ level startup, but nonetheless very well-funded, doing all things fintech in terms of having a mobile wallet for the state of KSA, but also at the same time opening up new markets in Kuwait, Egypt, Sudan, and possibly even India. So we'll see how that goes. But that's just a little synopsis of where I've been and the various companies I've been with.
Yeah, that's like something that I don't think so a lot of us would be able to do so much in our lives, and that too in an age that is so young. But I think there would be some things that we'll be able to pick up. So I'll start off with one question from my side about the tech. You said you're mostly interested into the tech funds at the moment, right?
That's right. Of
Yeah.
late, my background has been predominantly tech and digital transformation and AI.
And AI. So at the moment, if you would suggest anyone, that's kind of a little off track. So at the moment, if you would suggest anyone to start off something related to technology or AI learning or machine learning along with these studies, would that be good? Do you think that has a scope?
Yeah. So look, I actually feel very strongly about this, and of course, you know, my background with the CMA was very personal, perhaps not relevant to a lot of people in terms of they're pursuing the actual certification. It wasn't necessarily having an increased salary or being more globally recognized within the field. It was more on the lines of, you know, when I started my own tech venture, I needed, you know, we were doing things like AI, and we were doing things like, you know, digital transformation. And usually when we talk about AI, we're talking about things which are at the pinnacle of technology, right? So many a times it's not been done before. So, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what you were leaning to in terms of studies, but, you know, with things like CMA, which is more managerial accounting certification, it really comes full circle, because you're learning about pricing, you're learning about, you know, what part of your product is going to actually contribute to the business, and there's a performance measurement and a business decision orientation with things like CMA, which I found very, very interesting, and I think was very relevant when I was obviously setting up my own company. And then sort of taking that forward, you know, doing a certification of this type, and actually most certifications these days sort of really lean you into some of the digital aspects of finance, right? And I think that's become very interesting now, because everybody, as part of the curriculum, you tend to learn about things like data science. What you don't learn is how important this area is, because, you know, these days, I would say pretty much every company under the sun is currently engaged in either assessing or undergoing some sort of a transformation, digital transformation, to adopt, whether it's machine learning, whether it's AI. So I think, you know, the more you embed yourself into this ecosystem and space, the better it's going to be. And I think perhaps one of the greatest areas that any upcoming finance professional will find themselves is in that intersection of digital and core accounting finance, right? So if you can understand the digital aspects of a programmer, and be able to understand the business impact from an accounting side, and be able to help them assimilate the requirements, you would be very, very high in demand. It's very difficult to find finance professionals who can understand that space. So I think, yes, the more you speak to people, the more you embed yourself in the digital ecosystem, the better it is. But of course, that core accounting finance education is also equally as important for other reasons as well.
Yeah, just to take yourself forward, right? So you've already answered this thing to some extent for us. You've given us an idea of how you approached and how you started your own venture, and then you joined a few companies. So let me change this a little, and let me know, what do you think are basically the key characteristics of people who come to this kind of a position? Because we don't have a lot of CFOs. We normally have only one CFO in a company. So what do you think should be that one personality trait that we should be focusing on in order to come to an executive level this senior?
Look, quite honestly, I don't think there's necessarily just one element that can sort of propagate you into this type of a role. Okay. And if I really had to say it one word, then it would have to be team, because this is the epicenter of what you do as a CFO. You're not only your responsibility is the stewardship of the finance function and the company, right? And that doesn't happen by yourself. So if it was one word, I would say, be able to work in a team and be able to lead that team is what's important. But then I also think that before you can consider being a CFO, there are a few things in my mind, and I've some strong views on this, so I'll get to that as well. But I think obviously, you have to be technically sound, right? So being in a position to be able to lead a team, you must have done the work. So having, vetting yourself, taking the time to go through the various stages of the accounting and finance function, ideally working in different areas within the function. These are all very important aspects, I think, that sort of prime you to become a CFO. Other than that, we've mentioned data, right? So data is now the new gold, and just the quantum of data is so much now that being able to analyze that and then make a decision from that is, I think, another very important key that a CFO will necessarily bring to the table. And I think I've also mentioned the other side to this, which is I call it data scientists, right? So you have data scientists, and then you have data citizens. Okay, so you don't have to be a data scientist to be effective within a digital finance role, but you need to be a data citizen for sure. And what that means is that you need to be able to translate what a finance function requirement is into a digital requirement that maybe a Python coder or a data scientist within the team, because finance teams are changing as well, right? You don't just have finance and accounting professionals now. You have coders. You have Python coders that are part of the team. So that data citizen skill set, I think, for the new CFO is also going to be very, very, very important. Perhaps that's the one thing I think going forward, which is important. The one thing today, obviously, is team and analytical skills. And then I would say, to get to that CFO level, there is one more element that I've always led with, right? And that is, if you've got the technical understanding, you've been able to analyze and make a decision, don't be scared to voice your opinion, right? So, excuse my language, if you see something which is BS, then as a finance professional, as a leader, as a steward of the institution, say it. Don't be scared to take a stake and to take a position which may or may not be very sort of proponent within the team. It's okay to stand out and to say something which is controversial, and as a CFO, that's okay. So I think these are some of the 2-3 things I think, and it's no different to what you would like within your team, right? So if this is the kind of environment you're looking to sustain, then this is the kind of people you want in the team. But I think as a CFO, you should be very open to doing all of these things.
Yeah, I totally get this thing as well, that you need to raise your voice. You might initially not get the reaction that you're kind of expecting. You might get a few negative comments. You might get a few backlashes as well. But you need to be yourself in order to be at a certain position. You cannot play with the integrity of your role, and you cannot play with the integrity of your qualifications. You need to,
Right.
you're very right, you need to be very vocal when it comes to the right things.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not just necessarily talking about ethical things. I mean, ethics and professionalism is on one side, right? That's a given. If you don't have that, you're not gonna sort of climb the ladder or have longevity in your profession. That's a given. But what I was trying to say is, if you see something that is incorrect and wrong based on your technical understanding of the situation, then you need to be able to go out and lead and help the rest of the team and rest of the senior management team who don't understand the numbers as well as you do, to be able to push for that. So there's a whole storytelling aspect to it. There's a whole leadership aspect to it. But that needs to be done. And, that is why they pay you what they pay you, because you say it the way it is. And I think that's something that finance people need to be proud of, because this is the kind of stewardship other colleagues in your senior management team would be expecting you to do. So
Yeah, exactly. You need to actually come up with the analysis or the stuff that makes you different from people other than you, or the people who are not from the finance background.
right.
Perfect. So now coming on to CMA a little. So why is it that you chose CMA? You've given us a little hint of this initially. So
Right.
why is it, if you can go into a little more detail specifically, why CMA, why not any other qualification? And
Right.
what role has it played after your qualification in your career?
Right. So look, I think my background when I was in college, when I was many years ago in my undergraduate studies, I probably did a course which is today becoming quite the rage. Okay, so it wasn't called a STEM. We call science, technology, something,
Yeah,
and management, engineering and management. But
management, yeah.
it was a STEM sort of a degree. So it was also called production operations management, which is very statistical. It's very industrial engineering, but it's also very process and very business oriented, right? But to sort of put things into context, I did a lot of I spent as much time doing engineering and mathematics and statistics as I did doing accounting and finance. And you can argue that on the flip side, my formative years were not predominantly accounting and finance driven, right? Necessarily. Yes, I had those, but it was a bit more of a blend. And then after that, obviously, even after the MBA that I had, which was in finance, my ability to do financial analysis was strong, but my ability to do the very basic accounting aspects, and not just necessarily the financial accounting aspects, but the managerial accounting aspects. And I think this is also important because there are many certifications that you can do. For example, you did ACCA, and I think ACCA is an amazing certification because it's so exhaustive, right? It addresses so many areas of the accounting and finance profession. So does I would say a CFA. A CFA does a very exhaustive deep dive into finance. CMA was a very particular aspect of the accounting world, and that is the managerial accounting world, right? So we don't really care much about auditing for another company. It's about how to manage your own company. So that's how I looked at it as well. And for me, as I told you, I just started my own firm and we were working on products which have not been made before. So for me to understand at the very minute level what my direct costs are, what my variable costs are as part of that, what my selling costs are, how the variable and the fixed work together, and how the contribution margin, which is a big aspect of performance management that most of you would know as well as I do, becomes one of the key aspects of the CMA. So I think that focus in a very specific area was what I found very interesting. Of course, it's a global it's a global certification. The IMA is a global body. It's recognized. But again, for me, the razor focus on the managerial side of things was very important. And quite honestly, the time as well, right? So the amount of time that one can complete a CMA in is so much more
Less.
current and less than let's say an
Exactly.
ACCA, right? So I think that's one of the huge aspects, and time is money, right? So for me, also that element worked out well. I will say, and I know maybe this is not what some of you want to hear, but I do feel that a CPA or a CA or a ACCA would probably command a higher salary in the marketplace today. But I think that if you are a tenured professional already who understands most everything, and you're doing this not just for the salary, by the way, there is a salary bump, a significant salary bump for most accountants, but obviously you're comparing CMA to other certifications. But so that's the balance, I guess. It's a certification you can finish faster, but maybe doesn't have as much of an impact on your salary as compared to maybe an ACCA or a chartered accountancy or a CPA. But at the same time, if it meets your goals, which is in my case more managerial accounting goals, then this was ideal for me. So that's something that I think I would have liked to know when I was sort of evaluating the various certifications as well.
So what do you think? If let's say I'm an accountant in a company and I'm into the bookkeeping or the other stuff, just the numerical stuff and calculations, all that, would CMA help you to shift from a more accounting role to a more managerial role? And probably when you come into the managerial side of a company, automatically you get paid higher than the people who are working just in the numbers or just the calculation stuff. So do you think CMA would help with that shift in the role?
Yes, I do. Okay, so the short answer is yes. I think the short answer is a big yes. It helps you because a very strong focus. In fact, as you know, CMA is a two-part examination. The second part is all performance measurement and analysis, right? So I think yes, the short answer is a big yes. However, I'm going to just qualify that answer because I think it's important to be open about it. Even though I'm a big proponent of the CMA, I should tell you that it's you would still need to try, coming from straight from a junior accountant role post to CMA, for you to manage the whole function may be a little reaching. Some people can do it if they have the tenacity to do it, to go back. I personally, when I did the CMA, I did a lot of side studying on the side as well. So a lot of YouTube, extracurricular research, because I like to go into the very sort of minute and deep aspects of whatever I'm studying. So if you're just passing to do the CMA, then maybe you can still pass it and not have the holistic view to be able to take on a very high leadership position. But definitely, without a questionable doubt, if you're a junior accountant, then doing senior accountant type work is very, very possible. But also moving into business analysis and senior analyst type roles within companies. If you've been working for a few years in the industry, then the CMA really bumps you up, right? Because then what I feel is that you already have an idea of various aspects of a financial role within a team, and then the CMA gives you more of that leadership push in terms of decision making that sort of pushes you into the directorial level hierarchy within an establishment. So I just wanted to qualify that little aspect, because yes, there is a bump, but it depends on what you make out of it, which can take it to the next level, or if you have the experience, it'll definitely move you to a much higher role.
Perfect. Okay, so one more thing, you can say very important discussion that we need, and that is kind of a push because we've got a few participants here who are currently might be working in the same role for some time. So if they want to get onto the success part, Can you tell us how is it that, or what is it that will take them to be kind of more successful in this particular industry? So there has been a lot of things in our discussion up till now for today, that does answer this, but just a few key points that you think specifically in the finance industry. I think one of them was to now be, like you said, we should be data citizens. We should have an idea at least of how things are being done in data sciences, if even if we are not getting into the basics, into the details, but we should still have an idea of how things are going. So what else do you think nowadays in this market or in the Middle East market, what are the key points that we need to take in?
Look, I'm going to answer this. So you already mentioned the most important thing that I feel, which is that data citizens part. A lot of people think that, hey, my company's not sponsoring it. How do I learn it? And LinkedIn is an awesome resource. You can just learn anything under the sun. YouTube is an amazing resource. You can learn anything under the sun. It's important to, well, if you're in the finance industry, I'm assuming you know the finance role already, where I think it's important is for us to continue to network within the professional services, right? So join conferences, learn about, go to GITEX. We spoke of GITEX. GITEX AI is all over GITEX. Machine learning is all over GITEX. They have, just go there and try to absorb all of the discussions that people are talking about, because in today's day and age, and I've probably seen it a little bit more than most others because I work in the AI space. My institutions or my organization, even today, I don't have, well, at least one of the organizations I was cultivating has no bookkeepers anymore. Okay. The whole back end accounting function is now automated. Okay. Completely through and through, all the way from bookkeeping through to GL posting, through to recon, through to reporting is literally automated. So I run over 150,000 transactions on a daily basis with 2 people on the back end. So the skill sets that are happening need to change. That's the first bit. So for you to understand what those skill sets, I mean, it's not difficult to know what the skill sets are. We've already spoken about them, but where do you fit into those skill sets is only possible when you go to these conferences and meet people and talk to people, because you have to be interested in that area as well, right? You can't just do something you don't enjoy doing. So I think that's the one big thing to continue doing if you're in the finance industry. I must say that someone had to tell me before I started doing it as well. So I think we all fall into that trap. So it's not, I wasn't born with it either. But I also think there's one more thing I'm going to say, and this is a very personal thing, and I'm not sure, how tenured the listeners are today. So please forgive me if I say something which is not relevant, but I do feel that the younger finance professionals need not shy away from the grunt work, right? There is some level of humility that one needs to have to be able to do the grunt work so that you understand thoroughly the various aspects of the accounting function. And I think that, for me at least, coming from a operations background, understanding the whole process, having seen the process at a higher level, but also seen the process from the minute level, I think that is important, and that only comes if you do the grunt work. So for me, that's the other big thing I feel people should continue doing, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very important. And if I can recall a few moments from our sessions, so I totally remember you going into the details more than any of the younger students that we had, or the ones who were kind of in their they were not working, they were full-time students, so they were more interested in just getting to know the bit that could help them pass, compared to you who wanted to know the details of where things are coming from and how we can actually use it, or where is it and why is it that the course says any certain thing. So I totally remember this thing, that you were one of those who were here to actually learn, not
Right.
to pass, but to learn. And that actually matters a lot these days, because the competition in the market is very high now. So you
Yeah.
have to be a little more uh, excelling in the departments or in whatever you're doing. You have to be a little better than others, and this is how you can be better at those things.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you have the tenacity to want to learn, and if you can put in the hours to learn, I probably put in much more than the prescribed number of hours that you
Yeah.
need for the CMA. But that's because I would go on a tangent. I would just spend 1 or 2 hours going from one YouTube video to another YouTube video to another one, and it kind of helped me a little bit as well, because I actually did the CMA part 2 first, because that's my background, finance. I wanted to start off doing that. But because I didn't understand a lot of things there, which were related to CMA part 1, I did a lot of self-digging to learn. And I think, one of the key things about college is it teaches you how to teach yourself something. So you can read and you can learn something. So I think if you take that time to learn, I think the understanding that you have is just so much more superior than just reading a book and
Exactly.
passing it. So yeah.
Exactly. The depth really works. And talking of depth, I went through your introduction, so there was scuba diving into it as well. So you actually physically practice that as well.
Yeah, I do. So look, I think that's another thing. And if you want to be a good professional in general, forget CFO. I think you need to have some interests outside of work. I enjoy teaching as well. So
Yeah.
I enjoy scuba diving as well. So nowadays I don't have that much time. So I kind of connected them. I teach scuba diving. So
Oh.
so kids wanna play on their video games, want to get out and enjoy the water, they can always come, and we take them out and stuff. So yeah, scuba diving is something I really enjoy, and because it gets this hot over here, it's lovely to jump into the water, and sort of enjoy the cool water a little bit more. So that was it is, I mean, whatever, right? 60-70% of the world is
It's
water.
water.
So
Yeah.
the amount of adventure that you can find in there is just unbelievable. So highly
Yeah.
recommend it.
There's a lot more to it outside the Dubai aquariums.
Yes, there is a lot more, especially if you go down to Oman and Fujairah. It's lovely
Ah,
over
that was very interesting for me. That was very interesting for me, the scuba diving part.
there.
Okay, so we'll now just give a few minutes to people who are here. Guys, if you have any questions from Chinmay, please let us know. Noor, one of your questions, I'll just leave it on Nandini in a few minutes. She's going to get back to you on it. But anything from Chinmay, please let us know and he'll be happy to answer your questions. Anything that you want to ask, please let us know. It's been very interesting, to be very honest, for me. I've done such things before, but that's more like me telling people other things. But this time it's been me learning a lot from you. So there
Wow.
are a few points that I'm taking home at least, and I'll be working on them. The Python one. So I'll dig onto that stuff a little. I would want to go towards that. The scuba diving part I leave for my husband because he's more interested in that. So we'll probably get onto a few things now.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you.
listen, I mean, just outside of this as well, if anybody has any questions or comments or views outside, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you, Sana, for having me to speak a couple of words. In fact, she's one of the lovely trainers at Kaplan. She did teach me, and perhaps not for the whole course, but she was very helpful. So if you guys are at Kaplan, she's one of the better resources there to sort of help you on your way. But thank you so much.
Thank you
Sana.
so much, Chinmay. I'll be looking forward to connecting more with you because it's been a lot of things. So then we have a question here. Um, it says Asif is saying I'm pursuing PGP in data science from University of Texas. So it's not a question. It's basically he is telling you that he is onto that line now.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because and University of Texas is, I believe, in Arlington, Texas, right? That's a great campus as well. I don't know if he's going to the campus or if it's just a correspondence course, but yeah, they're actually got a good good data science program as well. So UT, is it Arlington or Austin? I'm not sure. Austin actually is the one that has a great IT and data science program as well. Yeah, Austin, great.
It's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's called the Aggies or something, whatever they call themselves. Sorry, it's a rival school. I went to Purdue, so yeah, Macomb School Business, correct. Okay. Well, no, listen,
Yeah.
wish you the very, very best. I think data science is a very big umbrella, right? It's like a catch-all for a lot of things, but it's one of those aspects where it really will drive your career on a upward trajectory because now everything we would do in finance is related to that. So
Thank
I
you
think
for
there's
this.
another question as well. Do
Yeah.
you think AI will take place accounting job in future, as you mentioned, one of the companies? Yes, I do. I don't think it's going to take. Okay, so here, this is what I get this question a lot, and I do a lot of conferences around this. And the short of it is that the type of work that you would be doing as an accountant will change, right? So you will be making more decisions, which is where the CMA also comes in, right? So the decision making or the value adding work is work that you would be doing. Not that today a bookkeeper's job is not value added, it's just something that can be now automated, right? There's machine learning algorithms that sort of help automate that. So then those individuals that are doing that, who understand that very well, will transition into more of a decision making. So how is that working? How do you optimize the process? Stuff of that sort. So I think the short of it is that yes, the role will change, and there might be some roles that would extinguish, but I think as part of the transition, those roles will move into a more upper echelon decision making roles that sort of take and sort of give a feedback loop to AI as well, because AI is not something that can just learn itself. You still need a sizable human element to keep teaching that AI to get better. So I think that's also another area where human beings will always be there. So yeah.
Yeah, because the world is never going to be, out of human beings. We'll still be living here, hopefully. Yes. So we'll be the ones who'll be helping these machines, the AI robots are the development is going to be done still by you. You're going to feed them, only then they're going to give you an answer. So it's your mind that's going to work by the end of the day.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've given AI perhaps a more credit or more, a higher grade of intelligence than it currently is. It's still, yes, it is intelligent, but is it sentient? Is it not? It's none of that is there today, right? It's still at the very basic level. Yes, there are multiple types of AI, but the bulk of the work that we're doing are still machine learning models, and those feedback loops are really important for human beings to be part of that. So
yeah, so they're nothing without you, at least. So they cannot replace you. Cannot say about another 50 years, but currently they can't replace us.
Well, hopefully in another 50 years, I'm not doing bookkeeping or doing anything. I'm sitting on a beach scuba diving all day. I would take that. So,
yeah. Perfect. So thank you so much, Chinmay. It was very enlightening. There was a lot to take on from here. Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Chinmay. Happy scuba diving.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all need that something to grow, and which is why I wanted someone to be here to kind of push you guys, because the world out there is huge for you people. So there are a lot of opportunities other than the traditional opportunities that we used to see, like you mentioned, the STEM stuff. There's a lot out of that STEM now, engineering or management. So there's a lot to it. So you can create your own opportunities if you can just be directed a little. So thank you for
Thank you
speaking,
for having me.
and
Thank you for having me.
please do let us know, or like he's been kind enough to open up his LinkedIn for you as well. So you can always connect if there's anything that you want to ask about, and we'll
Sure.
be happy to help you out.
Absolutely. Well, look, I wish everybody the very best, and if you're taking the CMA, then I wish you guys all the very best. Happy studying. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. So everybody of you here, guys, if you want to connect to Kaplan, so we've got Nandini here. Nandini has already shared her email, and she's shared how you can connect. So we have been the leaders in finance. You might have known about Kaplan before as well. So we are here to help you out with the qualification. It's a very structured course that we have. We'll take you through the prep phase and then the revision phase, of course. We normally use Climb for our study resources, and we are full-time, of course, available for any queries or anything that you have. So we have, Noor, you mentioned whether it can be done in KSA. So we have the live online option here as well. So you can always connect with us, and we'll take you through just like you're sitting in front of us. So there's always, because we have people joining in from all over Middle East and even outside Middle East as well. So if you want, you can always connect and we can have a live online session with you. Perfect. Other than that, we've got 3 phases. We have the prep phase, the revision phase, and then we have the question-based days. That's basically 3 months that we take you through to kind of familiarize you with the actual exam conditions. Other than that, this is the list of trainers that we have. Bilal, Sana, this is me. We've got Taha, Hatim. We've got a few more as well. But these are the ones who are more actively into our CMA course. And finally, a quick review of the Climb resource study material, the one that we are using for our preparation, and of course, the revision phase as well. And you're going to have an access to their question bank to kind of go through as many questions as you want for your practice as well. So that was all about Kaplan. That was all about giving you, the main theme for today was kind of giving you this particular. Okay, so our upcoming part 2 sessions. So the part 2 sessions are going to start from this Monday. This is what we have planned. It's going to be this Monday. Yeah, 23rd of October. And I'll be your instructor for CMA Part 2 if you're going to join in. So I'll be taking the sessions. Any other thing, Asif, related to Part 2? We have 1 session a week. Perfect, Asif. We'll be looking forward to you. For Part 1 also, Noore, it's going to be me. And the classes are going to start from this Friday. That's on 20th. I guess I'm not very good with the dates. But Nandini, if you can correct me, I guess that's 20th. Yeah. So Noore, 20th is the starting day for Part 1. and I'll be taking the course for part 1 as well. Noori, we have one session a week. So that's not a very hectic kind of a schedule that you'll have to go through. It's going to be only one class, 4-hour session in a week. And then during the week, you can, of course, on your own pace, cover a few topics. Okay. Guys, anything else for me? It has been a very pleasant one for me. And I'm sure you would be learning something from today as well. Perfect. Thank you so much. And please do get back to us for any queries that you have. Thank you. And I'll be signing off now. Thank you, Nandini.